Hello, Weld County Democrats. I'm Vic Meyers, and I'm running for Congress. I want to represent you like we're not getting represented right now. I come from Trinidad. I'm married to Kelly. We've got 3 beautiful kids and 2 wonderful granddaughters. I work as a case manager at the Department of Corrections. Before that, I was a software engineer for a couple of years, but I worked for a defense contractor and really didn't like that. Before that, I was in college where I earned my Bachelor's of Science in Math with a minor in Physics. And before that, I was a United States soldier with the 101st Airborne Division. I served for 4 years with the 101st, started college, and after my first semester I was recalled for the first Gulf War. I went to Germany and didn't take long for the war to be over, thankfully, and I was sent back home. So here I am, 20 years later, sitting here and getting frustrated with Congress just like you are. Getting frustrated with the knowledge that those folks in Washington, they just don't get it anymore. They've forgotten all the sacrifices of all those soldiers. They've forgotten the sacrifices of people like Martin Luther King and others during the 60s to bring us civil rights for everybody. They've forgotten the founding fathers and how and why our government and our country came to be. Well, I could sit around and complain about it like everybody else does, and I do. But I'm the kind of guy that when there's something that I can do about a problem, I get up, dust off my boots, and get to work on it. So here I am today asking you for your support. Before I go any further though, I gotta ask you, how do you like my hat? This hat's courtesy of Trish Smith, one of my hardest working and strongest supporters right there in Greeley. Thanks, Trish. So here I am and asking you for your support, and the reason why I'm hoping you'll give it to me is because I didn't pick the issues I'm running on just by what's important to me. I wasn't told by anybody in the party or anywhere else what I needed to run on. I chose the issues that I'm running on by looking at this district and seeing what the needs of the people are in this district. I noticed that we're a relatively poor district. We're mostly agricultural district. And we have 80,000 plus folks in this district who depend on Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. Knowing that, and knowing that our current Congress, including our current congressman, is trying to cut benefits for Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare, they want to implement a thing called chain CPI, which would reduce benefits by making the cost of living increases smaller. That ain't right. It's a broken promise. And I don't like broken promises. When I get to Washington, I'm going to fight against the chain CPI. And instead, I'm going to fight to scrap the cap. You and I, we get taxed on 100% of our income, but the rich folks, they only get taxed up to the first $117,000 of their income. And that's not fair. All we have to do to make Social Security solvent for the foreseeable future is to remove that cap so everybody pays the same percentage of their income on Social Security taxes. The next thing I want to work on, well, not the next thing, at the same time actually, is immigration reform. When I studied the district, I realized how many of our ranchers and farmers and dairy farms and other employers really depend on immigrant labor. And yet we've got a congressman right now who won't do anything, who won't speak up and say this issue is important to my district. Well, I realize that it's important to this district, and that's why I'm going to fight hard to get it passed. I'm going to fight hard to get the DREAM Act passed, because that's the right thing to do. Immigration reform really isn't that hard. The Republicans and the Democrats in Washington both understand the need for it. They both understand the benefits of getting it done. And the only thing stopping it is partisan politics. Well, I'm a Democrat, but I ain't a dumb Democrat. I believe in working with the other side and getting things done. Another thing I'll be working on, infrastructure. This is the first time in our nation's history that we tried to come out of a recession without building our way out. That just doesn't make sense. It's like we've forgotten our history, we've forgotten the lessons of our past, and we're determined to just dig ourselves into a deeper hole. Well, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to go to Washington and I'm going to fight hard for infrastructure, not just for roads and bridges, but for rail and for digital and for wind and solar energy. Colorado's 4th Congressional District is ideally suited for wind and solar energy production. And the only reason why we don't have windmills up and down the Front Range and solar panels on all kinds of buildings is because we don't have the transmission lines and other infrastructure pieces necessary to make it possible. That's an idea for the future, and I'm going to be there to fight for it. It's going to bring jobs, it's going to be better for the environment, and it's going to help save our small towns. And finally, an issue that's near and dear to my heart, and I hope near and dear to everybody's heart in this district, is veterans. As I said, I'm a veteran. My dad's a veteran. My grandfather. Every generation of my family going back to the Civil War has served in the United States military. And the way we treat our veterans today is despicable. We tell them that we care for them and that we're thankful. Find me a politician and I'll find you somebody wanting to stand next to a veteran for a campaign picture. But when it comes to the votes, they just don't get it done. That's not good enough. If you want to support a veteran, you need to elect a veteran. And when I get to Washington, I'm going to fight hard to get the VA squared away, get them the funding they need, but also hold people accountable for not getting the job done. I want to fight to improve the GI Bill so that it can be used for veterans benefit, for small businesses, so that our vets who can't find a job can start their own job. There's lots of ways that we can support our veterans, and I'm going to be there to do it. I hope that you'll find me good enough. I hope you'll decide to support me. I'm going to need your help. The size and scope of this district makes it a tough race, but I know I can do it. I know I can do it because our grassroots organization is growing almost daily. I've got some awesome people working on the campaign, and I believe at the end of this year we're going to surprise a lot of people. Part of it starts right there in Greeley with the Weld County Democrats, and I know that you guys can help put me over the top. I hope you will.